Listen carefully. The path to an unyielding life is not built by adding more weight to your shoulders. It is forged by systematically stripping away the hidden metrics that trap your potential. The ancient masters understood that greatness is achieved through subtraction. True internal sovereignty only begins when you have the courage to actively clear the debris out of your space. Most people crawl through life completely paralyzed because their mental workspace is drowning in invisible leaks, fragile expectations, and toxic anchors that they refuse to cut loose. If you want to stand firm, you must learn to aggressively prune your branches ruthlessly. These 15 rules are not comfortable, but they are mandatory requirements if you want to rule your own mind. Treat them as raw structural blueprints for your daily execution, not as casual entertainment. Work diligently in the deep dark and let your ultimate unyielding execution strike the world like a sudden lightning bolt when they least expect the impact. The first thing you must quietly remove is the constant need to explain your path to people who do not matter. When you make a firm decision to elevate your standards, drop your vices, and build your kingdom in isolation, average individuals will immediately challenge your alignment. They will demand extensive explanations for your sudden structural shifts. Do not waste a single breath trying to make them comprehend a blueprint they are not equipped to understand. Your default reaction should be complete silence. Let the crowd assume whatever they want about your trajectory while you quietly log the heavy hours behind closed doors. Your silence is a far more powerful statement than any defensive argument could ever hope to be. When you justify your decisions to ordinary minds, you willingly give them voting power over your destiny. A sovereign man acts without asking for permission or validation from the gallery. Let them gossip about your absence, while you quietly fortify your foundational skills in deep isolation. The second thing you must eliminate is your dependency on premature celebration. The human animal is deeply addicted to unearned applause. The moment an ordinary person conceives a minor business blueprint or commits to a new physical routine, they immediately broadcast it to the global audience on a digital smartphone screen to harvest cheap emotional validation. They feast on the superficial dopamine of outside praise before a single stone of their empire has been laid. A man of true focus operates in complete secrecy. He buries his goals in the deep dark, knowing that declaring your strategy prematurely invites the destructive noise of envy and public opinion into the pristine borders of his active workspace. Celebration should only follow absolute victory, never initial intention. When you announce your goals early, your brain mistakes the public applause for actual physical achievement, draining your remaining drive to execute. Keep your plans buried until they are fully manifested. Let your realized results shock the room instead of your loud promises. The third thing you must quietly cut out is the expectation of unyielding loyalty from fragile individuals. Human nature is fundamentally driven by temporary convenience and immediate self-interest. People will proudly declare their allegiance to your name when your presence directly serves their current agenda, but they will vanish the exact microsecond your alliance no longer yields them a profit. When a close alliance turns into a sudden betrayal, do not squander your sacred emotional currency on shock or schemes of revenge. Expecting flawed people to be flawless is a direct flaw in your own thinking. Close the door firmly. Do not harbor bitterness. Harbor objective realism. People can only meet you at the level of their own internal character limits. When someone breaks your trust, accept the data point calmly and update your boundaries without throwing an emotional tantrum. Your complete indifference is a far heavier punishment than your anger could ever hope to be. The fourth thing you must drop immediately is the chronic habit of managing imaginary audiences. Millions of capable individuals waste their active years editing their lifestyle, softening their sharp opinions, and holding back their execution because they are terrified of the judgment of random strangers who do not even care about them. They are completely consumed by a threat that exists exclusively inside their own skull. Realize that everyone is the absolute star of their own internal movie, and your mistakes occupy a much smaller supporting role in their script than your anxiety insists. Strip away the polite excuses, drop the stage fright, and launch your projects now. The public gallery is far too busy worrying about their own structural flaws to deeply analyze your trajectory. The fear of what people think is an artificial shackle you forge for yourself. Break it by executing boldly in public without looking around the room to see who is clapping. Your focus belongs to your mission, not to the crowd. The fifth thing you must remove is the childlike illusion of future comfort. Procrastination is nothing more than a slow, quiet act of self-betrayal. Average men waste their youth living in a state of constant delay, telling themselves that they will master their health, build their fortune, or claim their focus tomorrow when conditions look easier. They act as if they hold a signed contract, guaranteeing them another 50 years of pristine energy. But tomorrow is an unearned privilege that nature owes to absolutely no one. Time is a silent thief, bleeding your potential every single second you choose comfort over execution. Throw away the fantasy of an easier season right now. There will never be a perfect alignment of circumstances waiting for you in the distance. The current hour is the only piece of reality you can actually manipulate. If you do not build your fortress in the mud of today, you will never build it in the sunshine of tomorrow. Grab your tools and face the heavy friction of the current block. The sixth thing you must quietly prune from your life is the validation trap of social media metrics. When you allow external numbers to dictate your daily mood, you have willingly handed the keys of your kingdom over to a fickle master. A strong individual establishes his benchmarks internally, judging his days by strict performance. He works hard because his own standards demand absolute excellence, not because he is hunting for a polite notification or a superficial thumbs up. Move through your tasks detached from both the high of applause and the low of critique. When you stop asking the world for permission, your mindset becomes completely untouchable. The digital feed is engineered to exploit your evolutionary need for tribal belonging. Turn off the notifications and look at your actual physical reality. If your bank account is draining and your skills are stagnant, 1,000 digital likes cannot save your life. Seek the respect of your own conscience before the applause of online strangers. The seventh thing you must eliminate is your tolerance for low-value relationships. Look closely at the individuals who occupy your immediate circle of influence. If you are surrounded by people who constantly complain about circumstances, celebrate mediocrity, and mock your ambition, you are actively consuming toxic poison daily. Laziness and a victim mindset are highly contagious psychological diseases that rot your discipline from the inside out. You cannot expect to build an extraordinary life if your closest advisors are dedicated to ordinary destruction. Walk in absolute, crushing isolation rather than compromising your trajectory for cheap companionship. A narrow circle is a safe circle. It is far better to dine alone than to sit at a table full of individuals who secretly pray for your downfall or try to drag you down to their level of comfortable decay. Cut the ties cleanly without offering a long speech or a dramatic exit. Just fade into your private workspace permanently. The eighth thing you must remove is the weight of past regrets. Every ounce of mental energy you spend wishing you could rewrite your history is energy you have actively stolen from the current hour. Your past is a fixed data point that cannot be modified by your deep sorrow or your intense anger, no matter how long you grieve. Treat your previous failures like cold, raw data to be analyzed with strict objectivity. Extract the tactical lesson and immediately return to your physical execution. Your scars are not structural flaws. They are absolute proof that you survived the impact. Focus your entire mind onto the immediate frontier that lies ahead. You are not the mistakes you made in your ignorance. You are the discipline you choose to manifest in this exact microsecond. The rear-view mirror is useful for a brief look, but if you keep staring into it while driving forward, you will inevitably crash your vehicle into the next obstacle. Eyes straight ahead on the work. The ninth thing you must cut out is the pursuit of cheap convenience. A soft, frictionless existence completely rots the architecture of a man's soul. When you optimize your entire life to hide from physical strain, avoid hard conversations, and treat minor inconveniences like catastrophic disasters, your spirit deteriorates fast. Deliberately step into the cold. Take the harder path when a simpler shortcut is staring you in the face. Force your body to endure physical strain, fast from your digital addictions, and spend hours in absolute isolation with nothing but your own raw thoughts. When you voluntarily subject yourself to controlled suffering, you grow strong. The standard problems of the public square completely lose their power to break your spirit when you have already faced worse conditions by choice in your private laboratory. Comfort is a velvet coffin that buries your ambition before your physical body dies. Choose the weight, choose the sweat, and build an iron frame. The 10th thing you must quietly eliminate is the desperate need to have an opinion on every external event. Modern culture is entirely obsessed with keeping your attention permanently fragmented and your emotions constantly triggered by trivial debates, fleeting social trends, and public political theater scripts. But you possess the sovereign right to look at a chaotic situation and choose to have absolutely zero opinion on it. You do not need to mentally participate in every argument you are invited to. Preserve your mental reservoir for your own calling and let the screaming crowd tear itself apart over temporary distractions that fade away. Your energy is finite. When you spend it getting angry at things you cannot directly control, you are bankrupting your own enterprise. Protect your inner peace with an iron fist. Let the world run its chaotic course, while you remain completely anchored in mastering your immediate tasks and securing your borders. The 11th thing you must remove is the internal voice of self-doubt. There will be dark mornings when your inner critic whispers that your goals are completely impossible and your sacrifices are entirely in vain. If you treat that voice as a factual command, you will abandon your blueprint before the concrete dries. Fear and doubt are merely basic biological signals engineered to keep you safe from the unknown, not absolute truths. Let the doubt speak. Acknowledge its presence like a passing cloud, and then instantly return to your physical work. Your confidence is built through repeated action, not through waiting around. Action kills doubt with absolute precision. The moment your hands start moving on the task, the phantom voices in your head begin to lose their volume. You do not need to feel confident to start working. You need to start working to build sustainable confidence. Lock your feelings in a drawer and execute the protocol. The 12th thing you must quietly prune is the dangerous trap of comparison. Nothing poisons creative execution faster than measuring your private day one against someone else's curated public display. Comparison substitutes your authentic purpose with frantic, superficial competition for outside attention. It strips away your tactical clarity and replaces it with hollow envy. Your timeline is entirely unique, your mission is completely distinct, and your daily execution must remain an absolute original asset. Focus entirely on beating your previous self. and let the rest of the world worry about their status. The man who chases another man's shadow will always remain lost in the dark. Your only real competition is the individual staring back at you in the mirror every morning. If you are stronger, wiser, and more disciplined today than you were yesterday, you are winning the only war that actually matters. The 13th thing you must remove is the habit of overthinking your execution. Analysis paralysis is nothing more than fear wearing an academic suit. Spending weeks refining a plan without taking a single physical action is just avoidance dressed up as diligence. You cannot steer a ship that is stationary. Stop editing your strategy in safety. Take the calculated risk and adjust your course while you are moving forward in the arena. Perfect plans do not exist. Only perfect execution does. The man who acts and makes mistakes will always outpace the scholar who sits completely still and overanalyzes the map. Clarity is found in motion, not in deep meditation. A flawed plan executed with absolute ferocity will always defeat a perfect plan that stays locked inside a notebook. Stop waiting for all the lights to turn green before you leave your driveway. Put the vehicle in gear and force your way through the traffic. The 14th thing you must cut out is your dependency on temporary motivation. Motivation is a fragile, unreliable emotion that deserts your side the exact second conditions become difficult, cold, or uncomfortable. True baseline character is exposed only when there is no excitement present in the room. Self-discipline is the execution of a duty long after the initial mood in which the promise was made has left your system entirely. Work because your internal metrics demand it, not because you feel inspired by an outside source. Drop the reliance on feeling good and lock into your repetitive routine. The elite professional shows up to the desk regardless of whether he feels like a king or a peasant. He completely detaches his output from his emotional state. If you only execute when you feel inspired, you will easily lose to the competitor who treats his daily output as an absolute, non-negotiable obligation. The 15th thing you must quietly eliminate is the foolish belief that you have time to waste. Memento Mori. Remember that your clock is ticking down with absolute certainty every single second you draw breath. Your life is a brief flash of lightning against the backdrop of an infinite night. The ticking clock does not care about your hurt feelings, your daily stress levels, or your elaborate plans for next year. Let the reality of your mortality drive an unstoppable sense of urgency into your soul. Rise up, stand firm on your principles, and finish today well. Stand alone, think alone, and conquer alone.